On the slate for an all-new Philadelphia Eagles now, Adam Schefter has a new Micah Parsons update. Is a divorce coming between Micah and Dallas? Oh boy, things continue to be interesting with those Dallas Cowboys. We're going to do a Jihaad Campbell film study, specifically what led to his sack of Dillon Gabriel in that second preseason game on Saturday against the Browns. And the Eagles on Sunday acquired wide receiver John Metchie. He practiced with Philadelphia for the first time today. What did he do? How did he look? We're going to get into that as well. Let's begin with topic number one. Adam Schefter with the latest on Micah Parsons, saying a divorce seems to be coming between one of the top defensive players in the game, Dallas, Jerry Jones, and Stephen Jones. Here's what Schefter had to say. Could a deal happen? Yes. There's zero indication that it's going to happen. It sounds like at some point in time, whether that's now, after the season, after 2 seasons, like the two sides are headed towards a divorce at some time. Now, I guarantee you this. There is no way, no how, that if Micah Parsons does not get paid going into 2025, that he's going to let the Cowboys pretty much just dangle him out there and have team control over him without there being a resolution. I know that Dallas can utilize the franchise tag on Parsons, but him and his agent, one of the top agents in all of professional sports, by the way, are not going to let it get to that point. At some point, they are going to zap the power from Jerry Jones, his son Stephen Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, and try to enact some type of player empowerment. Because this situation is ugly now. Can you imagine how much uglier it will get if this just continues without the Cowboys paying Parsons and with Dallas, with their $11 billion evaluation, operating like a cheap organization? Just not going to happen. And the two reports that we have heard that I think are the most notable, right? There was the Diana Russini report from a couple of weeks ago where in the morning she came out and said this relationship is damaged, so much to the point where Parsons could demand a trade. A little bit later that day, literally hours later, Micah Parsons wrote a soliloquy, a book on X, saying that he personally submitted his trade request to Stephen Jones and he doesn't want to continue being a Dallas Cowboy. Then there's Schefter today, after there has been no movement, no speculation on a deal getting done, saying there could be a divorce. And since that trade request from Parsons, there doesn't appear to be any progress, but also neither side is talking to the other. Jerry Jones won't speak with Micah Parsons and Parsons' agent, and then Micah and his agent, David Mulligetta, they're not speaking with the Cowboys either. And as ugly as this seems right now, it is important to remember, though, that these deals can get done very quickly. I remember we touched down in New Orleans. We report the Super Bowl Radio Row on the Monday of Super Bowl week. And the biggest news outside of Eagles looking to get their revenge against the Kansas City Chiefs was Myles Garrett requesting a trade from the Cleveland Browns, saying he didn't want to play with the Browns any longer. But then things changed a few weeks later, right? We're at the NFL Combine, and there starts to be some progress between the Browns and Garrett. And then shortly thereafter, the Browns offer Garrett the highest contract ever for a defensive player. But there just seems to be something different with this Parsons and Cowboys situation. Is it to a point where it's beyond repair? I know that Parsons might be saying these things and doing these things to force the Cowboys into paying him, but the Cowboys don't seem to be budging here, whereas the Browns were always adamant that they wanted Myles Garrett and they wanted to give him an extension. Andrew Berry even said it at the Combine. Our stance has not changed. Myles may have requested a trade, but we want to pay him. We want him to be a Cleveland Brown. Do you see Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones saying that? No. But because Micah doesn't have any financial security beyond this year, would it surprise any of us if Micah Parsons got an offer from the Cowboys because the Cowboys started to sense that pressure as the regular season gets closer? They end up giving him a bag, and then Micah accepts that deal. I don't think that Micah would actually turn down a record deal from the Dallas Cowboys. So that is still an option. But if a deal does not get done, next offseason becomes fascinating because there will be bidding wars from multiple teams across the NFL who want Micah Parsons on their team. And I guarantee you that Howie Roseman is going to sniff around. So obviously that would impact the Eagles next year. But Micah Parsons going into 2025 and the status of that contract impacts Philadelphia right now. Eagles play the Cowboys week 1. They play the Cowboys twice this year. And obviously this is a hostile rivalry inside the NFC East. Wild stuff from Adam Schefter. Predict it. Where will Parsons play in 2026? Type C for the Cowboys or O for other. Get those predictions into the comment section right now. Topic number 2. Jihaad Campbell, the rookie first-round pick for the Eagles, has really been flashing all throughout training camp, impressing seemingly day by day. And in the preseason, he's also been able to make some really nice plays. On Monday at Eagles practice, he was running alongside Zach Bond with the ones at that off-ball inside linebacker spot. And the biggest play that he's made in the preseason, maybe the splashiest play is a better way to put that because he's made a couple of impressive plays, was the sack on Saturday against the Cleveland Browns. That's part of our film study here today. And I've done a couple of these that people seem to really enjoy down in the comment section. So if you enjoy content like this, we're going to continue to churn it out for you. Some of you have asked, Chase, why don't you just play the full clip? Because the NFL is very strict about video that you use from them. It's copywritten, and they would strike the channel, try to take it down, and that would be a disaster for me, Chat Sports, and all of you because there would be no more Philadelphia Eagles now. It would cease to exist. So let's take a look at Jihaad Campbell's sack on Dillon Gabriel. This is part Jihaad Campbell and him having that pass rusher background because he certainly has that. But this is also a great design and idea from Vic Fangio. This is what you call being pretty exotic and creative here. You see JC, Jihaad Campbell, playing middle linebacker at that off-ball spot, inside backer. But the wrinkle on this play is you see Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche flexing out to cover the flats as off-ball linebackers here. Now, we know that Vic Fangio drops his edge rushers into coverage when running this 3-4 defense, which nowadays is kind of a hybrid defense. But you see the 3 down linemen, and then you see the outside backers in Uche and Ojulari covering the flats with Jihaad Campbell as that inside linebacker. Dillon Gabriel's in the shotgun. He's going to take the snap. This is not a delayed blitz from Jihaad Campbell. As soon as that ball is snapped, he knows what his job is on this play. He understands what his role is. It's to blitz the quarterback. And so he shoots this gap, which is vacant, and he's able to get to Dillon Gabriel. So I step aside even further, and he gets the quarterback on the ground. Great decisiveness from Campbell, really good closing speed, a good design from Vic Fangio because, as you saw there too, Uche and Ojulari, they covered the flats. And from Dillon Gabriel's standpoint, he probably takes the snap and he's like, there's no way that Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari are covering receivers out of the slot. I'm going to have somewhere to go with the ball, and maybe they come in to blitz me, but they're not going to drop back in coverage. They did. So then Gabriel's dropping back, and he's like, oh, this is the NFL. A lot of good defensive minds here, especially Vic Fangio. This is an exotic look. I don't know where to go with the football, and by the time that he tried to survey the field and process what the defense was doing, Campbell was around his ankles. And as John Gruden famously says, I don't care about pressures. Get the quarterback on the ground. Jihaad Campbell got the quarterback on the ground. Good stuff there from the rookie and Vic Fangio with that play design. Still to come here on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. We covered our top 2 topics. Stay tuned for the latter topic, the third one. What did John Metchie do today in his first practice with the Philadelphia Eagles? We'll get into that because some interesting developments on that front. Running with the first team, and he got punt return reps. He has no prior experience doing that at Alabama or with Houston. The Eagles clearly trying to see how he can contribute to their football team. Do got to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Get $50 when you play $5 at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Preseason football is underway. College football almost here. So don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. It's very simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's available in 45 states, and Prize Picks the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which players aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions and hot takes into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. So here's the deal. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. There is also a Dak Prescott max discount. I know that we make fun of Dak Prescott on this show, and he's going to be playing up against the Eagles in game number 1, but his more or less number is a half passing yard. Obviously, he's going to throw for more than a half passing yard. We're also going to go Jalen Hurts, more than a half rushing and receiving touchdown combined against Dallas, and Saquon Barkley rumbling down the field against that bad Dallas defense, more than 92.5 rushing yards. Easy and exciting daily fantasy. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. We'll put that link down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let's talk some John Metchie here. Eagles trading for the former second-round pick, 44th overall from the 2022 draft on Sunday. And here we are on Tuesday, August 19th. He practiced with the Eagles. Here he is with his former teammate in DeVonta Smith. They played with one another at Alabama. They were on that loaded 2020 Bama team that won the national championship when Mac Jones' numbers were stupid. The first person to reach out to John Metchie after that trade, DeVonta Smith. And the Eagles today did suffer from a lot of wide receiver problems, and of late, this injury status for this position has been very fluid. A.J. Brown has not practiced in 18 days because of his hamstring injury. DeVonta Smith, this is new. He has a groin ailment, and so they did not participate today. Then Johnny Wilson got carted off inside with an apparent lower body injury. It was serious enough for him to have the cart take him off the practice field. And then 70 minutes into his first practice, it was John Metchie running with the ones and the starters for this Eagles offense. Philadelphia, after acquiring John Metchie, by the way, they have now acquired 28 players the last 2 years, drafted in the first 3 rounds by other teams. Clearly, Philadelphia tries to maximize these players who have not worked out with their other teams, who have a lot of pedigree, and they bank on their coaching staff and their player development program to elevate these players. As for Metchie, 44th overall pick from the 2022 draft, tore his ACL in the SEC championship game, his final year. Then he was diagnosed with leukemia. And so this is a guy who has overcome a lot of adversity. He has defied the odds. His NFL career hasn't gone according to plan, but he's been behind a lot of wide receivers with Houston to start his NFL career. And this offseason, what did the Texans do? Acquire Christian Kirk. They already have Nico Collins. They're hoping Tank Dell can come back. Then they drafted Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel at the wide receiver spot. So Metchie wasn't really a part of their plans. Today, he was a part of the Eagles' plans, ran mostly with the twos. He made a leaping catch from Kyle McCord. And then when he ran with the first-team offense, he caught a short pass from Jalen Hurts. He did have a drop. Kevin Patullo did use him as a motion man in this formation, and that could be one of his roles here for 2025 as well. Here's what Patullo said about Metchie catching up, learning the playbook. I think when you bring a guy in later in camp, they have to be caught up to speed as fast as they can, but still having a couple of weeks left, I think the timing's pretty good. Wide receivers coach Aaron Morehead does a really good job. He's been with us the whole time. He knows the system, knows where we're going with things, and then he'll be familiar with DeVonta, some of the other guys to lean on. So I think from that standpoint of bringing a guy in, we're in a pretty good spot where he can still pick it up and feel confident in what he can do. Now, what can help John Metchie III? He can lean on DeVonta Smith, who he's very close with, And then there's also this. Metchie said today he almost committed to Penn State. So he nearly played his college football in Happy Valley. When he went on a visit there, he stayed with Jahan Dotson. And so he knows Jahan Dotson very well. And while he did not play at Alabama with Jalen Hurts, they do know each other pretty well because they both played at Alabama and under Nick Saban. And so Metchie has some things on his side as far as learning this Eagles offense. Another reminder, hit that subscribe button here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. We're growing like crazy. Be a part of the movement.